Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Well, tank liner paint is here. But before I jump into that, I want to show you a little something over here. Welcome back, everyone. Hope everyone had a good week. A little bit cluttered in this corner right now, but I got something new. Actually, I got a couple somethings new that I picked up on a buy and sell for $100. So this stuff, it's not fancy, not high end, Princess Auto gear, but for $100, I got a brand new blasting booth and a pot blaster, pressurized pot blaster. Now, when I say new, when I picked this up and brought this home, I had to take the glass out of the packaging. The tips for the gun were still wrapped up. Door was never installed. It was never completed. A guy started putting this together, and that was it. Same goes to that tank. It's fully assembled, but it was still had the instruction manual stuffed down inside of it in the plastic bag, and it has never been used as well, too. So this is going to be a game changer as well. I'm going to be able to do some blasting, cleaning up some metal, taking some paint off. I would have loved to have this thing, long ago when I was doing the first start of the car. It'd be so nice to be able to blast some of that small parts and just have things cleaned up a lot easier. But this thing is fully ready to go. I just need to get myself some blasting sand. They also had a sale on a Canadian Tire for their older stock of their air compressor stuff, and they had these little reels on sale for $50. So you get your manual reel and 50 feet of 3/8 hose, and then I ended up adapting it into my manifold here and changed this up a little bit. Got a new filter for my water separator. Always dump water to your tank off the bottom, but it's always good to have a water separator for that compressed air that's coming out of there so quick. It'll condensate once it leaves the tank. You can see the little balls start forming here of water. This is a drain on the bottom. So I just put a new filter in, so it's working good. Got our pressure regulator. Main tank is set to, it's good up to 150 PSI. I run it at 140, 145. Then, of course, everything beyond the tank that's into hose, like a plastic hose or a rubber hose or plastic fitting stuff, I only run that at 100 PSI as I go out to everything else. So I got it tied into the new blast box. Of course, it goes up to my new reel. But I also put an extra one here on the back, a full 1/2 inch right through, because going here in the spring, once it's nicer outside, I want to run a line outside, so I'm going to have air outside for some bigger jobs. Now that I have this little blasting pot, I might want to pull a line off into the field and blast something up. Or maybe I'm just working on the truck or something outside and need air for an impact. So I have awesome news. My tank sealer is here. It's definitely come in. It's ready to go. I've meticulously gone over this tank and I've rubbed it out inside again. I just used a little stick here, or a rod, that had a cloth in the end. You can see still have a little bit of dust, not a big deal, but I rubbed it all around inside the tank, put the vacuum cleaner on one end, air blower in the other, just blew it all out, and I got the nozzle down in there, clean it the best I can. Now, so this is the stuff we're using, this POR 15. It is made specifically for all fuels, including fuels with ethanol, and this is what's going to line the inside of that tank. Now, it doesn't seem like much, 473 milliliters, but according to the website and their little calculator, this will be more than enough to do this tank, and I'm going to have to dump some out so I don't get some pooling inside. Now, one thing I didn't notice when I was reading out this stuff, and I don't know if I can focus on it, but right at the last bit there, this has a 90-hour cure time. Now, I definitely don't have to worry about that. That's 90 hours until you fill it up full of fuel or anything like that. And for me, it's going to be sitting here for quite a while because that is not going to be ready in 90 hours. All right, I have one end of the tank covered up here, sealed up real good. Got some good abrasion tape on there. It's nice and sticky. It'll hold tight because once we fill this tank full of stuff, we got to turn it around, roll it, rotate it, make sure we get all surfaces coated inside there. And then I'll have another piece ready to go on this side once we get it poured in there. So, number one rule of this stuff, from what everybody tells me, is wear gloves. It is permanent. It will not come off your skin, and it's going to penetrate actually a couple layers of skin as well too, which is very unfortunate. You definitely don't want that getting in you. And the only way really it's coming off is as your natural skin leaves your body and wears off over the weeks and months. That's when it'll go away. Now, I've shaken this thing quite a bit, but upon opening it, I can still feel, actually you can see it there too, there's heavy sediment on the bottom of this can. So we're going to stir this real good for a while. Make sure that all our solids are mixed up. And then we're going to pour it in the tank. There we are. That is the whole can inside there. Just get this little makeshift funnel out and start rolling it around. There, tank is sealed up. Ready to go. Well, we have successfully and completely coated a tank. It is a nice, even, shiny layer. Even got right into the seam there, all the way around. Having both ends to get into it like this is awesome. I don't know what you would do if it was a side fill, not being able to see straight through to the other end of the tank, because I had to go back a few times, and I could see the areas that were missed, and then of course let the paint pool into that corner till I figured it was up there. Then I can roll it around and slowly ease it down to fill it. But that ended up going awesome. Now, I did come up to one thing though, right here. Yeah, that is a hole. It's definitely not, it's only a little clear spot right there in the middle. When I filled this up and started rolling it around, I could hear little drips coming out. And I obviously missed a spot. Definitely more than a pinhole, the way it dripped out. I think I physically missed one of my spots, the actual holes with a putty, and I just didn't notice it, and it came out. But now, there is no hole in the center of it. There was a little hole I could see. It has come back in on itself and completely closed that up. So I'm not going to mess with it. I'm going to leave it. Once this is fully dried, I'll come back, clean the surface, and I'll put a little putty over it, then put more of this black rocker guard over top of it just to fill it in. But I don't want to mess with it right now. Now the 473 milliliters that's in that little bottle, even though the chart said it was enough for this tank, it is absolutely bare minimum. I guess it depends on how rough or how smooth it is inside, how much runs around. But when you're done, it tells you to stand your tank up and let it drain for a half hour. Well, there's no draining. There's barely enough in there to finish it. Like I said, I had to tip this up into the corners, let it sit for 10 minutes sometimes to get it done. But there is a little bit of residue in there. Now, not issue. With this coating in the tank, if you can kind of picture the top of the tank on the inside, as this paint goos, it's going to drop. It's going to hang down like teardrops, like little stalactites in a cave. Don't want that. You don't want them breaking it off and making their way into your filter system, plugging it up. But that's what I can picture happening inside. It'll all be hanging down like teardrops. But I also don't want it to pool on the bottom of the tank, taking away from the volume of the tank as well. So what we're going to do, this is the fill spout. This is the top of the tank. This is the fill spout. We're going to tip this upside down and then raise the far end so that any paint that might pool is going to pool in this area here, which is just an air bubble in the tank. There's no way, theoretically, there's no way you can actually get fuel that high in there. The way this nozzle comes out, this makes an air bubble inside there. And then if by chance there is enough paint to come out, there's only a 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch gap here, and that'll let it ooze out, and then I can easily cut it off with a knife. I'll put a bucket down overnight and let it go like that. But that's into the tank. I'm going to get that propped up. I'm going to throw the little electric heater on there for a while, just to help it get it cured and kicked off right away. And then we got a lot more work to do on the back of the 64. Now, back down onto the rear of this car, I have removed the bumper. That was it's quite a bit of work, a little more than I was expecting. A couple of bolts are stripped, of course, and they were a bugger to get off. But I'm addressing the corners here. Now, the other side there was a little bit worse than this one, but you can see how the bottoms are completely rotted out. The other one's come up quite a bit further. So, I've been making some templates just to try to kind of get this shape so I can weld in some pieces here. So I've got all my rust cut out and I've cleaned up the edge. And this is just a kind of a first template that I'm coming up with here. It's going to fit right on there, the piece of steel. Whoops. Like that. And then, once I get it tacked on, then I'll start wrapping it around this corner, which is going to give me a nice beveled edge. And when I bring the other piece across and I start peeling it down, pulling it down, and tackling that beveled edge, as I go, I'll use the hammer and I can tap it in there and give it a nice round curve. A little bit of a radius. I'll fully weld it and feather it out with the flappy wheel. So here we are with the finished product. Didn't turn out too bad. A couple little rough spots here and there. But all in all, it worked out really good. Good and solid. Got a nice radius on that corner. No puckering at all. I was able to keep the heat transferred, going back and forth all the way around. So it stayed nice and flat. The curves on are just nice. You can see my edge coming down, which is exactly in line with the corner here, right where I wanted it. So I can continue it across with my little brace piece I'm going to put behind it. Now getting the angle here and how much further down this needed to be, because I'm actually missing about 1.25 inches of this detail here that's just gone altogether. So I had to use the other side, try to get an idea how low this was, which was 22 inches from the ground. And then my final panel that I'm gonna, once I cut this out and put it across, will stitch into this and go down it. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make a little detail, or I might have to do a little bit of fiberglass work to try to mimic the detail of this kind of a bucket. Like this whole thing's recessed because of the bumper, and just kind of make that out of fiberglass so it's stiff, make it stick real good, and hopefully that'll be it. Got a better view from it on this angle, but this is the end of the video. So just a little bit more this evening. I'm going to take some more measurements from the other side to the ground up, getting a good idea exactly how much more material I need down here. I figure I got about 2.5 inches missing altogether before it goes underneath the car. So I'll plot out my lines, go back and forth, try to mirror it up, get a good solid line across here so I can bring my measurements down. And hopefully by next week, I'll be throwing in a new rear quarter panel. Well, as always, thanks for stopping by. If it's your first time popping by the channel, thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. We can both learn stuff along the way, maybe. Anyway, love you all. Catch you again later.